What do you think is more important? I mean, obviously to get to F1, you have to be talented. You have to collect those points. But what do you think is more important leading up to it? Being super well financially backed, or a guy like Mick or Jacques Villeneuve having that last name? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think you need everything, man. I think the truth is our sport is so expensive. Um, from go-karts,
yeah,
like in Europe, like, just to even Canada as well. I mean, everywhere it's ridiculous, what it costs to go racing now. And I think unless you're really fortunate to have like a sponsor or, like a family member that helps you out financially, it's honestly like it's impossible. It's impossible to get there. I'm sure there's tons of talented, extremely talented people that could be in F1 that just never had the chance because, they didn't have, the family member, the sponsor that discovered them, that, whatever. I mean, it just, the circumstance didn't work out, right?
yep,
I think it all the stars need to be aligned. And I think racing is probably an extreme example, but I think in all sports, you kind of need, like, to an extent, a lucky break,
yep,
like whether, you're a tennis player or you know, a golfer, I don't know, like to go to the best school and
sure,
go travel to all the tournaments and get the best coach. Like initially there needs to be some support, and I'm, the same, like, I don't know, hockey player, I'm sure there's plenty of good hockey players that couldn't, get the best equipment and go into a great team, into a great program to help them develop. Like, but I think racing, however, is the extreme example because, like,
yeah,
it is ridiculously expensive to go racing unless you, like I said, you have someone helping you out. So to answer your question, I think all the stars need to be aligned. I think you need to have talent, because we've seen so many guys come through the ranks with no talent and all the money in the world and finish nowhere. And I've raced
yeah,
against those guys, and I'm not going to name, like, I'm not going to say names, but
yeah,
I know who they are. And we've seen that. But we've seen guys that are extremely talented that never had the chance to, to get that drive and, whatever it was, F3, F2, F1, we've seen a lot of those guys too. And I think you need the backing, you need the financial support, and you need the connections, the talent, you got to win the series. That's why another reason I think the super license points is great, because you can't just cheat your way into F1. You got to win
yeah,
the categories, you got to earn it. But then you see guys spending like 5-6 years in F2, earning their super license points, which is ridiculous too. Because, like,
yeah,
I mean, those guys have, after 5-6 years, you'll end up winning, or you end up finishing in the top 3, which is good enough to get you the super license points. So I think, like, if you really see the guys that are, that are good, that are competitive, they, in the first 2 years, like, they're up at the front and, in a category, and then they're, fighting for wins in the second season. And I think, like, that's how it should be. Like, spending 5-6 years doing Formula 2 to try and get super license points, I don't think is right either. Like, I think
yeah.
there needs to be a limit to that.